All right, so thank you for tuning in to Jump into the Bit. I'm Kyle Edwards, of course, and on this episode, I'm going to talk about the Major League Baseball lockout. Now, if you haven't been paying attention and, don't really know what's going on, I'm going to talk a little bit about what has happened. Now, I could very easily name this episode Told You So, because I said that there's a good chance that the MLB, because we had heard about this possibility of a lockout ever since before last season ended. So my hope was that, baseball wouldn't fall into this trap where, you just came off of the Braves winning the World Series and then automatically the focus shifts to a lockout, which is exactly what happened. The craziest thing about it is, technically, the lockout didn't need to happen because, yes, the collective bargaining agreement was up, but as far as I know, the owners didn't have to lock the players out. That way they could allow the players to still, go through workouts and all that. Just that, they would still have to negotiate while all that's happening. But the owners decided to lock them out. It was like the first week of December. And now we're here at this point where it's been I think coming up on 80 days now, and still no collective bargaining agreement. Don't know really how optimistic, you guys can let me know, of course, how optimistic you are that an agreement will be reached. The season will go on a full season, so basically, because what the season's supposed to start is the end of March, March 28th or something. I believe the players the players in the union, when I say union, that's the owners, have basically said that, the union are the players. Sorry, but players and the owners. We'll just leave it at that. So they both kind of said that an agreement needs to be met by around February 28th, or the lockout needs to end. So an agreement doesn't have to be met by February 20th, but the owners need to, end the lockout, allow players to work out, because the players have said, if an agreement's reached, they would need 4 weeks to get prepared for an opening day. So if the owners did that, negotiate, get it done, then the season can start in time. If the lockout continues past that, then the beginning of the season will start to be in jeopardy. Now, the owners have already said that spring training has been postponed through March 5th. I believe I think that's the first week of spring training or something. So, and even the players said that didn't need to happen, because, as I said before, if the owners didn't impose the lockout, I guess they could technically do spring training, I guess. But with all that aside, now we've seen lockouts in other sports, of course. In baseball, this is the 9th one. I believe there was one late 90s or something. I think it's the one I remember, but whatever. So usually these situations, we're used to hearing about meeting after meeting, each side presenting their proposal, all that kind of stuff. With this baseball lockout, like I said, it's been 80 days. I believe they've met only 6-7 times, about once every 2 weeks or something. No. Yeah, once every 2 weeks. And was it this past week, they had a meeting which lasted, I believe it was 15 to 20 minutes, where once I heard that, I really thought, clearly one of these sides aren't, negotiating in good faith. And you can pretty much tell it's the owners because the players have been the ones that we've heard, what they're looking for. And if you look at basically what the players are looking for, you understand that they're kind of, looking to take care of the back end guys. Because I think the players are starting to realize that with the owners now going more towards analytics and all that, certain guys, once they reach a certain age, their earning potential seems to diminish precipitously. So, sorry about that. So, players are basically trying to make it so that, players now coming in get paid a certain amount because they want to raise the minimum, but they also want to create a salary floor for teams. That way, small market teams or whatever, or the cheap teams can't, just sign bargain basement players and then field a team knowing full well they're not going to win. And then you have this big gap in team spending. The players want to bring that gap closer together so that, they're not doing a salary cap, which I would like to see that maybe one day in baseball, but I guess that's not really on the table right now. But, if you have the Angels or something spend $200 million on a team, and then you take Kansas City, who spends $45 million. Once, those rosters towards the top fill up, you kind of get a middle class of players that sit out there in free agency waiting for offers. But if the only teams that really have space are these teams looking to spend 45, 50 million, then what they can offer the middle group of free agents is way less that they would get if you force the team looking to spend 50 million, you force them to spend like 100 million, then those players can kind of get contracts that's closer to what they're looking for. So that's the main thing these teams are looking for. And of course, every negotiation we see, owners are wanting to push back. And with that, there's back and forth with everything. So I understand how that goes. So my thing is, if you're going to meet once every week and a half, 2 weeks, to fans, it looks like one side isn't serious about this. And as I said before the season ended last year, the worst thing baseball could do is, if they went to a lockout, drag it out, make it real messy in the media. And then for a sport like baseball that's already kind of declining in popularity, attendance, and all that, this is the type of thing that if they start losing regular season games, could seriously hurt baseball standing to the point where it might be irreparable. Not to take it that far, but just saying, because think of this. It's been a pandemic that's been going on for 2+ years now. But you're starting to see states, lifting mandates and this kind of thing. So once the summer hits, what do you think a lot of people might be looking to do? Maybe they want to go to the ballpark to catch a game just to get out or whatever. But if there's no games at these ballparks, they'll just find something else to do. Because as we've seen, as people are getting out there more and more, they're looking for ways to fill the time that they missed from the 2 years that they were sitting in isolation or whatever. So that's the first thing. Baseball's missing an opportunity there if this continues on and they start missing games. Worst case scenario, they miss a full season. 2, we've also seen a lot of people with, losing jobs, all this kind of stuff, really kind of taking a punch in the face in terms of, income and that kind of stuff. So now with these ballparks, you have people who work there. Well, if there's no games going on there, they don't have to go into work there. So that's another way that they kind of lose the PR battle in this, because people will be sitting at home watching it like you got billionaires, millionaires fighting over this and this, but the everyday worker who works the concession stand or the gift shop or whatever is the real one suffering. So that's another way that baseball loses out in all this. I guess the third thing would be it's kind of what I mentioned before, but the sport as a whole. I think there are things that I guess should come out of this lockout, which I've talked about before, that the game needs to change in order to make it more appealing for people. And hopefully some of that comes out of this stuff, whether it's pace of play or whatever. But it's bad enough the lockout even happened. Even worse, that they're barely meeting. But I've been hearing people who are starting to think that legitimately losing games is now an option. I've even heard the worst case that they miss a whole season. Which, if baseball was dumb enough to do that, that may spell the end for them. Not necessarily as a sport, but I mean, they've already fallen way behind the NFL. To a lot of the regions of the country, college football is a major sport. They've fallen behind them. They've fallen behind the NBA easily. If baseball's not careful, MLS is going to continue to gain on them. And like I said, missing a season gives MLS another chance to leapfrog them. NHL, I would say the NHL and MLS are probably behind Major League Baseball right now. As I said, MLS could leap them very soon here. In the NHL, it might take a little longer, but I wouldn't be shocked if, NHL became more popular with baseball missing a whole year. So there should be a lot of motivation for both sides to get something done here. I think the owners did say that, after the whole 15-minute meeting, which obviously was just a waste of time. I believe this week they're planning on meeting every day. They did meet Monday for like a legit few hours with legit negotiations, proposal passing, breaking for each side to talk amongst themselves and all that. So it was a legit negotiation day today, which is a good sign. Now, if they do in fact do this all week, I could see maybe some more optimism that at least the two sides are talking regularly. Of course, we'll have to look at the February 28th date. If, the owners lift the lockout, allow players into facilities and all that, that would probably be a good sign as well. That may show that the owners think something could legitimately be struck within a few weeks. The reports of the talks from today were that, from Monday, were that I think it's like owners slightly moved towards the players' demands. Now, how big of a move you want to take for slightly is up to you. But the fact that I guess there is some movement there is reason to be optimistic, because yes, owners have plenty of money, but they would still like to have more money. In a lost season, owners don't get anything from that. The players, of course, want to play a season because they get nothing out of not playing. So I don't think Manfred, the other owners and the players are that dumb to let it get to the point where they miss a season, but it wouldn't shock me because baseball has, shot itself in the foot and missed the mark several times in my lifetime. So I'm not going to say it's completely unexpected, but we'll see. The February 28th date is the big day to watch. If we get past that, lockout's still on, then don't be surprised if you hear the league announcing that the start of the regular season's been canceled until whatever arbitrary date. But I don't know. This is definitely a story that's going to be watched for the next couple of weeks, and I'm interested to see how the negotiations go each day. Do we hear progress each day? Will we get another day of like a 15-minute meeting and like both sides walking away furious? We'll see. I do think cooler heads will prevail at some point. A deal will get struck. I don't know if I can safely say that the regular season will start on time, but I'm pretty sure baseball has some wiggle room in there that if they had to push opening day back like a week or two, that'd be fine. And it just means that the season will go into, I guess, further into October or whatever it is now. But I don't know. This seems like something that probably could have been avoided if right after the season they, kind of started negotiating and bargaining and all that kind of stuff. Who knows? By now, maybe this would be all over. Spring training would be going on, and baseball could have just continued going as normal. But of course, baseball had to make it difficult, and here we are with a lockout. So if anything does happen, if an agreement is struck or anything like that, definitely come back and talk about it. I just can't understand how baseball couldn't be self-aware to see that this is going to be a bad look for the league. But hey, it's all part of the makeup of these sports leagues that at times the two sides don't see eye to eye. We've already been hearing about, when an NBA collective bargaining agreement comes up, those talks could... Well, okay, so here's the thing. With MLB, we know players and the owners aren't exactly the closest when it comes to these things. NBA, the players and the owners there seem like they're probably much closer. Although some people are speculating like NBA is going to be kind of going hard at players for this bargaining agreement with players sitting out and that kind of stuff. So that could become messy, but it always seems like baseball's the league where when the CBA is coming up, people are already ready for a lockout, messy negotiation, that type of thing. Don't know why, but it always seems to happen with them. So maybe with this week, they get it done, and then everybody can go home happy. So I'm just looking up, I guess, some things from the meeting today to see if there's anything. Okay, so they met for an hour, then broke for separate meetings, like players together, owners together, for 3 hours, and they came back for another hour and talked. Okay, so yeah, that's a legit amount of time. Let's see. Yeah, so for everything I'm seeing, yeah, it seems like MLB raised some of the dollar amounts and all that kind of stuff on their proposals. So, like I said, going off of today, a little bit of optimism. Not too much because a lot of the, like I said, messages coming out was more of two sides talking about, tweaks to things that they had talked about before. Nothing major was brought to the table. So obviously once those major issues come to the table, that's where we'll see how these negotiations are going. So those big issues completely split it and break it, we could be in for a long one. But if these tweaks, they start seeing eye to eye to some of these things, then maybe with bigger issues, maybe it continues on for that, and maybe this won't last as long as it potentially could. So definitely let me know what you think. Are you optimistic on both sides reaching agreement in time for opening day? Do you think maybe they lose some games early in the season? Or are you the ultimate pessimist and think that this season's going to be lost? Let me know what you think, like I said, down in the comments, or if you follow me on Twitter at Chopper Podcast, let me know there. But yeah. So I'll say for me, like I said before, I think they eventually reach an agreement. I just don't know if the season starts as scheduled on time. So that's where I'm standing at right now. But that could all change after this week. So, so hopefully you enjoyed this episode. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Leave a comment, a review, whatever. If there's a dislike option, you can leave that as well and let me know what you didn't like. And this week I have a full slate of shows for you guys. So next episode, I think I'm going to talk about the NBA because we just had the All-Star game. So talk about some storylines for the second half I'm looking at. Just to let you know, I'm going to touch on different sports this week. So it should be a nice little change up for you guys. Talk about the college football expansion. I'm sure you heard that they're ruling on that. They're going to wait until at least 2025 before they expand. Talk about that. Then I'm going to talk some NFL because starting to see some off-season storylines that may become big issues. So I'll talk about those. The MLS season starts this weekend, I believe. So I'm going to talk about New England Revolution, probably Atlanta United, some other MLS stuff. And then I will talk about the Juwan Howard situation this week because that video was just wild. I remember seeing it, and first I laughed a little bit, but then I was like, So talk about that whole situation. And I think that's basically what I have scheduled for this week. Who knows, if something big happens, I may move some of these things around, but yeah, so definitely tune in. Like I said, if you listen to these on YouTube, hit the notification bell. That way you find out whenever I drop a new episode. Wherever platform you listen to podcasts, by subscribe, following the show, you'll be notified when I drop new episodes as well. So, as I say, at the end of every episode, be safe out there. God bless. I'll catch you in the next episode. All right, I'm out. And have a good day.